Hi, my name is Aarica Langdon. I am a gardener. I do perennial maintenance for people, take care of their flowers for them, help them with annual color as well as grow vegetables. Today we're at Mrs. G's house. We're going to play around in her roses. Being midsummer, things are starting to fade a little, and I'm going to show you how you can get one last great show, the grand finale at the end of the summer, out of your roses by showing you how to keep them pest-free, disease-free, organically. So this is a tree rose, which means that it's been grafted. They have a root stock, then they graft a stem, and then they graft another rose bush at the top so that we can get this funny looking patio tree. And I'm sure anyone who's familiar with roses has been told that you go down to the set of 5 leaves. So if you look here, these up here, this has 5. And it was cut here above this node. And the more you prune your roses, the more more blooms you're gonna have. So it's good to stay on top of it. And I wait until the rose is kind of, like this one. Oh, feathers falling off. So, we've got a multi in here, so I'm just gonna trim the dead flower off. But if it were a single branch, a single rose, we'd go down further. I'm not gonna prune this beauty because, she's in her prime. But you would come down to a node like, say, here, where it's facing toward the outside, because when you're pruning roses, you kind of want to keep in mind what's going to be happening in the future, how things are going to be growing, and where you prune is the direction that the plant is going to grow. So, for instance, where this cut was made, the rose is going to send some new growth from this point, and it's going to grow in this direction. And with roses, to keep them healthy, you want to keep a lot of airflow going in. You don't want the branches to be crossing or things to get tangled up because that promotes disease. So we'll take the faded flowers, and I like to keep the tree roses kind of nice and tight and bushy. So we're kind of going to go down a little further with him. And right now too, we're dealing with rose slugs. In midsummer, we got these little tiny green worms that are a real pest. And I hate to break it to you, but you just gotta pick them off and squish them. And I prefer to leave the bodies, as a warning to the others. So you just kind of go back under all the leaves. We might not even find any today because Mrs. G went over them pretty good. She loves her roses, but you can see the damage from them. And you can usually tell you have worms because they have little black, looks like pepper, on the leaves, and that's worm poop. So that's a good sign that you have worms if you see some little black specks on the leaves in addition to the holes. Also important in keeping your roses healthy is to keep all of the diseased leaves picked off, like things like rust and mildew need to come off before they spread the sickness. You could spray, but those leaves are never going to recover. You really just need to keep the new ones healthy and disease-free by getting rid of infected leaves. Infected leaves are usually found towards the bottom of the plant, and that's where the fungus, because that's the least amount of airflow, and then you get rust, which is that orange speckles on the underside of the leaves. And that spreads pretty fast. So what you want to do is pick off all of the ones with the little orange on the underside of the leaf. Clear around the ground. You don't want any of these infected leaves to stay on the ground because the spores just come back up when you water and splashes on the underside of the new uninfected leaves and infects them. Which brings me to another point, which is very important. It's about watering your roses. When you decide to water them, is important. You should do it in the morning so that when the sun comes up, it has a chance to burn off all the moisture and everything, and so the fungus doesn't have a chance to get going on the leaves. One of the worst things you can do is water on a cloudy day, overhead water on a cloudy day, overhead in the afternoon, before the sun has a chance, is going to come out and dry up the leaves. So very important. Water in the morning and avoid overhead watering if possible. And to, just make sure that you're going to have the best start when you do plant your roses, make sure that they're in full sun, and that's 6 hours a day. Otherwise, you're going to have increased problems with the powdery mildew and the rust on your roses, and you won't get as many blooms. Things are just not going to be as healthy. So 6 hours, full sun, keep those diseased leaves off. Make sure that when you're pruning at a 45-degree angle and that the bud is facing toward the outside of the bush. So that ought to leave you plenty busy. Have fun growing your own, and I'll see you next time.